What's up, guys? This is Greek Freak here, and today I'm going to be discussing whether super teams are good or bad for the NBA. Right now, we're at a time where it's about to be pretty obvious that the Cleveland Cavaliers and Golden State Warriors are most likely going to be the teams that will end up going to the finals for the third straight time, which is going to be the first time in history that this will ever happen. And the question is led up to, is it really determined? Is that all that is going to happen? Is that these super teams are going to form up? Well, for my opinion, I believe that super teams are actually going to harm the NBA. But it's not just the super teams. It's also the way that the draft is being done with one and dones. With, as we all know, some of the bad teams such as Philadelphia, Orlando, Brooklyn on the Eastern Conference have been rebuilding for quite some time now. And it leaves you to think, why are they still down there? It's because they're left with the young talent of players that are one and done. Of course, Philly having injuries, but other than that, it's always just the consistency of a one and done player who's not ready for the NBA. And with the forming of super teams, they're only leaving two real contenders in both teams on both conferences, which leaves it up to being, is it going to be good enough? Will a team be able to knock off a team like that? Most likely not, since the talent is so lopsided to the other team. And with that, it's always, now people are thinking, well, what's going to stop these super teams? And more people are going to form up. Well, if they start forming up, players are going to go to the exact same teams and form up as times have to move on. On the Western Conference, we have the teams like the Timberwolves, who haven't made the playoffs in over 10 seasons. The reason for this is just, once again, one and dones, bad drafting, everything else. Sacramento Kings losing DeMarcus Cousins, who has been there since very much the beginning. It just can't work like that. Every single time that these teams are forming up, rebuilding is taking way too long, taking 4 or 5 years to figure out the potential of a player. And with these super teams, making a really easy super path to the finals every single year. Every single time that they'll face. And the reason why it's bad for the NBA is directly, yes, right now we're at the beginning of it. People are still watching because they want to see it. But it's just, this is the first time this has ever happened. We think of it as a rivalry. But the point is, as the NBA, your job is to keep it entertaining throughout the entire playoffs, the entire season. And it's not being done that way because it's a foregone conclusion that it's Cleveland and Golden State, again, for the third straight time. Once you see the different teams just go out and lose, and they're getting swept and swept and swept, that leaves people thinking, well, why should I even watch the first, second, and I believe in the East, probably even the Eastern Conference Finals. With there only being really 4 teams that I would say that would be good enough to really want to watch go face to face, that leaves it with not much to really like as far as it goes. The finals are usually going to be great, but here's the problem. And these are hypotheticals, of course, but let's say Golden State or Cleveland end up sweeping each other. And more likely, let's say that Golden State sweeps the Cleveland Cavaliers. Not saying that this is going to happen or anything like that, but if that happens with Cleveland, and let's say Cleveland swept the entire East, well, if that happens, that will show that the Eastern Conference is just that much more weaker than the West and really shows no signs of anything. Now, of course, the one thing people don't talk about Golden State is the fact that they won't be able to afford their super team for much more longer. With Steph Curry going to be a free agent, probably not going to take $11 million per year, and Iguodala being a free agent. Just knowing the fact that, and with the max deals being a whole lot more, it's just a lot less likely that things like this are going to stay around for long. But that won't stop other teams that don't have much around them to be able to build a super team. As far as Cleveland obviously hasn't established that they could be able to afford and keep the team that they have for quite some time. Of course, age being their only really weakness to some of their other players as far as side pieces. But guys, please tell me what you guys think. Please leave a comment whether you think that it's good or bad that these super teams are forming. I believe it's not just the super teams, but a combination. And like the video if you enjoyed. And as always, this is Sparta!